Just when we thought the drama couldn't get any more intense, Lil Rod drops this bombshell video that has everyone's jaws on the floor. And when I say shocking, I mean shocking. We're talking about what people are now calling a disturbing shower situation, and trust me, it's even worse than it sounds. But hold on to your pearls, because this tea is just starting to brew.
We were at Puffy's Los Angeles house, working in the studio. He says, I want to work in my bathroom. Everybody bring everything. So we break down the studio, get the instruments, and go to his bathroom as usual.
Let me take you back to where this whole messy situation began, because you need to understand just how deep this rabbit hole goes. Before Diddy found himself behind bars, Lil Rod, who by the way was a producer who worked super closely with him, came forward with some seriously disturbing accusations. We're talking inappropriate touching during their work together, and let me tell you, it was just the tip of this scandalous iceberg.
I apologize to anyone this video may be embarrassing to. Let's just jump right into it. Some of you may know me or may not.
Now, my loves, this story has more layers than my grandmother's famous lasagna, and each layer just gets juicier and more shocking than the last. When Lil Rod first spoke out, nobody could have predicted how this would snowball into what might be the biggest scandal in music industry history. This wasn't just about one person coming forward, it was about to become an avalanche of revelations that would shake the entertainment world to its core. Let me spill the details about what just happened in the latest episode of the Surviving Diddy documentary, because this is where things get really wild. Picture this scene. Lil Rod is at Diddy's fabulous Los Angeles mansion, thinking it's just another day in the studio, making music, living the dream. Everything seems totally normal, right? But honey, that's when things take this absolutely bizarre turn that nobody saw coming. Out of nowhere, and I mean literally out of nowhere, Diddy supposedly tells everyone to bring their equipment into the bathroom. Like, who does that? But wait, it gets even more outrageous. This man actually strips down and jumps in the shower while staring directly at Lil Rod. I mean, can you even imagine being in that situation? The secondhand embarrassment I'm feeling just telling you this story is off the charts.
And he strips himself in front of us and jumps right into the shower. But he's looking directly at me. You know what I mean? I found myself getting a pat on my.
But hold on to your hats, because this story gets even more uncomfortable. Poor Lil Rod, who's probably standing there wondering if he's in some weird nightmare, suddenly feels Diddy pat him on the behind. I mean, the audacity. The poor man still struggles to talk about it today, and honestly, who can blame him? This is just one of the many disturbing stories he's finally finding the courage to share, especially now that Diddy's sitting in jail awaiting his trial in May 2025. And speaking of jail time, let me pour you some scalding hot tea about what's been happening behind those prison walls, because this is where things get really interesting. You won't believe the nerve of this man. Apparently, Diddy's been trying to pull strings from his cell. When the authorities raided his cell, they found phones and notes that he had the audacity to claim were part of his defense strategy. Girl, please.
All right, y'all. So yesterday in Diddy News, we talked about the fact that there were these notes and all this different stuff found in his cell when there was like some sort of raid that went down.
Now let's be real for a minute, because nobody, and I mean nobody, is buying this defense strategy nonsense. It's crystal clear what was really going on here. We're talking about attempting to intimidate witnesses and manipulate the system from behind bars. The sheer audacity of it all just leaves me speechless.
Diddy's team is basically saying that the feds raided his cell and took a bunch of privileged materials, including notes to his lawyers for the upcoming trial.
But wait, because Lil Rod's latest revelations in the documentary are about to make your head spin. When he describes being in complete disbelief during these encounters, you can literally hear the trauma in his voice. It's heartbreaking to watch him shake his head in confusion, trying to process everything that happened. But honey, that's not even the worst part. What he reveals next about possibly being drugged during his time with Diddy will send chills down your spine. Imagine this nightmare scenario. Waking up in bed with an ex-worker, having absolutely no memory of how you got there or what happened the night before. Terrifying, right? That's exactly what Lil Rod claims happened to him. Now, some people are trying to suggest that maybe he was already under the influence when these things happened, but let's be real here. Given all the whispers and rumors about Diddy's alleged history with spiking drinks, it's not exactly a stretch to believe something more sinister was going on. And let's talk about these rumors, because they've been circulating in the industry for years. People have been whispering about Diddy allegedly using substances to manipulate or control people in his circle. It's like this dark cloud that's been hanging over his reputation. And now with all these new stories coming out, people are starting to connect some very disturbing dots. But hold on to your seats, because what Diddy's ex-girlfriend Kat Pison just revealed will make your blood run cold. Picture this scene. It's 2019. They're lounging on this luxurious yacht in the Bahamas, watching the R. Kelly documentary that exposed all his horrific actions. The timing of what happens next is just, I can't even.
A lot of the fashion shows, a lot of the runway models, and see what's the next thing happening and then intertwine that with what I'm doing. Image goes hand in hand with the music, and that's how people identify you.
I remember one time, it was the beginning of 2019, and we were in the Bahamas on a yacht, and the R. Kelly documentary had come out. He came into the room to watch a little bit.
The absolute nerve of this man to make light of such a serious situation. Kat was so shocked she could barely process what she just heard. And honestly, who could blame her?
He's walking out of the room and he says, "There's a little bit of R. Kelly in all of us," and then walks out the door. And I remember being like, what? There is not.
For those who might need a refresher on the R. Kelly situation, and trust me, this context is important, we're talking about absolutely horrific accusations. The man was exposed for having inappropriate relationships with underage girls, including that whole controversial situation with Aaliyah. When the documentary came out, people were absolutely horrified by what they learned.
You know, I was living up there at that point. We were together all the time. You know, I had no reason to question that we weren't.
But here's where things get really suspicious. Diddy's casual comment about it all. Was this just some thoughtless remark, or did he know more than he was letting on? The timing of it all, especially now that we're learning more about his own alleged behavior, just seems way too coincidental to ignore. And just when you thought this couldn't possibly get any more scandalous, hold on to your wigs, because Lil Rod is about to drag even more celebrities into this mess. The first bombshell? Jay-Z is now being accused alongside Diddy in an absolutely horrifying allegation involving a 13-year-old. I know, I'm still trying to process this too.
What shocked me most was that it was going on openly in front of other people that you would know who didn't do anything to stop it.
But the hits just keep coming. The updated lawsuit now includes Cuba Gooding Jr., with Lil Rod claiming that both Cuba and Diddy engaged in inappropriate behavior with him. This story is expanding faster than my waistline during the holidays.
It's one of those things where I know that I'm here for a reason. And I know that as long as I do what I do, and I'm good at what I do, and I'm passionate about what I do, God's will be done.
The accusations are piling up like dirty laundry on a Sunday night, and each one is more disturbing than the last. Let me tell you about Ashley Parham, who came forward this January with some absolutely horrifying details about an incident from 2018. This poor woman claims that Diddy and 2 other men assaulted her while recording it. I literally get goosebumps every time I think about it. She had to threaten Diddy with a knife to escape. Can you imagine being in such a terrifying situation? And then there's LaTroya Grayson's story from 2006, which honestly breaks my heart every time I think about it. Here's this young woman, just 23 years old, who wins what should have been an exciting contest to attend one of Diddy's fancy New York parties. Instead, she wakes up in St. Vincent's Medical Center with no memory, horrible injuries, her underwear missing, her shirt ripped, and her money stolen. As if that trauma wasn't enough, she received threatening calls warning her to keep her mouth shut about what happened. The whole thing just makes my skin crawl. December 2024 brought even more accusers forward, and let me tell you, these stories are absolutely chilling. 3 men filed lawsuits claiming Diddy assaulted them while they were unconscious between 2019 and 2022. Their lawyer filed the cases in the New York State Supreme Court, and the details they've shared are beyond disturbing. We're talking about being drugged and assaulted while they were completely helpless. Of course, Diddy's team jumped in real quick with denials, telling NBC News it's all lies. But honey, when multiple people start coming forward with similar stories, it gets harder and harder to dismiss these accusations as false. And just when you think you've heard it all, there's the anonymous man from New Jersey who came forward about a horrifying incident at one of Diddy's white parties in East Hampton. Now, there were some inconsistencies in his story, like whether it happened in 2006 or 2007, and some confusion about his marital status at the time. But given the trauma he allegedly endured, can you really blame someone for having some details mixed up? With all these lawsuits piling up and more celebrities potentially being implicated, everyone's wondering the same thing. Just how deep does this rabbit hole go? Will we see more famous names dragged into the spotlight? And can Diddy's career possibly survive this avalanche of accusations? The truth is, darlings, we might just be scratching the surface of this whole scandal. With each passing day, more disturbing details emerge and more brave souls find the courage to come forward and share their stories. This isn't just another celebrity scandal. This is shaping up to be one of the biggest and most shocking cases we've ever seen in the entertainment industry. What makes this whole situation even more disturbing is how it's forcing us to look back at certain interactions and comments in a completely different light. Those casual remarks that seemed odd but harmless at the time, now they're taking on much darker meanings. Those industry rumors that people dismissed as gossip, they're starting to look more and more like warning signs that everyone missed or ignored. So here we are, watching this whole empire potentially crumble, with new accusations coming out what feels like every other day. And the question on everyone's lips is, who's next? How many more shocking revelations are we going to see? And who else might be implicated in this ever-growing scandal? One thing's for sure, this story is far from over, and something tells me we haven't heard the last of these disturbing allegations. The truth has a way of coming out, and right now, it seems like the floodgates have been blown wide open. All we can do is wait and see who else might step forward, what other shocking details might emerge, and how many more powerful figures might find themselves caught up in this web of accusations. So what do you think about all of this? Are you as shocked as I am by these revelations? Do you think we'll see even more celebrities named in future lawsuits? And what do you think this means for the future of the music industry as a whole? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because, honey, this conversation is far from over.